The Toronto International Film Festival is happening right now, and for the first year ever, I actually got pressed to TIFF, and it's a very strange feeling. I'm used to being excluded from that, so it's fun to be a part of it this year, but this year's very different. Press screenings are being held virtually, so I've been able to watch a lot of these films from home. It's extremely convenient, and although I love the idea of going to a festival and seeing friends and experiencing these films in a theater, at least we get to talk about some movies this year, and there's going to be a lot of films that I'm seeing, and there's no way I can make separate videos for all of these. I'm also prepping my Halloween special for next month right now, so we're going to do some condensed reviews of a bunch of movies over the next few weeks. Starting first with Pieces of a Woman, starring Vanessa Kirby, Shia LaBeouf, Sarah Snook, Benny Safdie, Molly Parker, and Ellen Burstyn. This film was terrific. It has what I think might be Shia LaBeouf's best performance to date. Vanessa Kirby is also incredible in the movie, so is Ellen Burstyn. All of the actors are really phenomenal here. It's the type of film that will stay on an actor for a very long one take as they deliver their monologue, and they won't cut away because the actor is that good, and you don't feel bored by that. In fact, the opening 30 minutes of this movie is, I believe, a simulated one take. I cannot imagine they actually achieved it in one take. I do not know that for a fact, but there are some specific elements of the first 30 minutes that cannot have possibly been done in one take. It's mesmerizing and incredibly stressful. Pieces of a Woman is a film riddled with anxiety, and it's very hard to watch sometimes. I don't want to spoil exactly what happens, but essentially it's about a family that's grieving. And you experience why they're grieving in a very detailed way, and it's hard to watch, but the performances are insane. The directing is very strong, although the first 30 minutes of the movie sort of threaten to overshadow the rest of the movie because the first 30 minutes are so phenomenal. I believe Netflix bought the rights to it, so hopefully you can see it very soon. I'm going to give Pieces of a Woman an A-. One Night in Miami is Regina King's directorial debut, and after seeing this film, I want to see her do just about anything. Her work in this movie is fantastic because this is based off a play, and it's largely just people in a room for most of the movie, a hotel room, and so you don't have a lot to do there visually. But the way she blocks these actors, she always keeps the sequences interesting. The way actors move in and out of the frame keep you on your toes about what level of power they have over the other person in a scene, who's winning an argument, who's losing an argument. The film is a fictional account of one night where Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, and Jim Brown all gathered together to discuss their roles in the civil rights movement and the cultural upheaval of the 1960s. And while the first act of the movie feels kind of breezy and very light as we're introduced to all of these men and what they're doing in their lives at the time, obviously Muhammad Ali, at the time known as Cassius Clay, was becoming very famous as a boxer, Jim Brown as an NFL athlete, Sam Cooke as a singer, and Malcolm X for his human rights activism. That first act is enjoyable enough because the performances are great and the directing is really strong, but the film becomes mesmerizing once these men start to argue. All of them are trying to help in different ways, and they argue about who's being more successful in helping with the civil rights movement. And since all of them have a very different approach to trying to make things better, they don't always get along at first. That's where this film really shines, and it can be very depressing at times because the things that they're talking about in the 1960s could unfortunately be applied to today as well. All that being said, Regina King found a way to make the film feel hopeful in the end. I'm going to give One Night in Miami an A-. Nomadland was directed by Chloe Zhao, who last made The Rider and is helming the upcoming The Eternals for Marvel. This film stars Frances McDormand as a woman who has said fuck it to the world. She has decided to live in a van, and she finds herself talking to other people who live in vans. No, not Down by the River. Chris Farley, rest in peace. Oh man, now I just got sad.
You're living in a van down by the river!
This is a very quiet film that is performance-oriented. It's very focused on Frances McDormand and her journey. She works at Amazon for a while, she works in restaurants for a while, all because she's tired of her old life and she would rather just live off the grid. This film is worth seeing specifically for Frances McDormand's performance and the beautiful cinematography, but also for the real-life nomads that the film includes. There's a documentary-esque approach to talking to a few people who actually do really live in vans and including them as characters in this movie and using their real names. These scenes with these people feel completely unscripted. I do not know if they were, but I can only imagine the performances that she got out of these real life nomads being as good as they were. I can't imagine that that was scripted. There's some really strong work from these non-actors. And it reminded me of Under the Skin, how they would have Scarlett Johansson pull up to real non-actors in her van and just have scenes with them. And they didn't even know they were being filmed. It felt that real. That being said, the film suffers from some major pacing issues, I feel, because you could watch this movie and you could say that nothing really happens, and I would understand if that's what you thought. Because it is a very observant film. It's you watch Frances McDormand poop in a bucket. You watch her get to know people, and you watch her live in a van, and you understand exactly what that would feel like. Like, if you watch this film, the one thing you will definitely take away from it is you will 100% know what it's like to live in a van in the middle of nowhere. And for some people, that could be very boring. But Frances McDormand's work, and surprisingly the work from the non-actors, kept this film very watchable for me. I'm going to give Nomadland a B. So those are 3 films I just saw at TIFF. I'm going to be seeing some more over the next few days, a few Midnight Madness films that I hope are worthy of discussion, and some other stuff I'm looking forward to seeing. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. And like I said, I am prepping my upcoming Halloween special that's going to start on October 1st this year, so look forward to that. Guys, thank you again as always for watching, and if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.